Hi guys. Today we chat with a teacher of the Ho Kam Ming Wing Chun Kung Fu branch. He's a headmaster of the Wing Chun SRQ Kung Fu School in Sarasota, Florida, and is dedicated to the transmission of Wing Chun as it was taught to him by Sifu Ng. Please welcome Sifu Topher Mowry. How are you today, sir?
Hi, how are you? How are you? I'm doing well.
I'm doing well as well, sir. Thank you very much for taking the time to be with us here today. So let's go
Absolutely.
ahead and start this interview with you, sir. I'm actually really interested and very excited for this conversation because you are the first pure Wing Chun Sifu that I've actually had the pleasure of speaking with. So let's go ahead and get straight into this interview, Sifu. How did you start the martial arts?
So I was very lucky when I was in high school. My high school offered Taekwondo as an alternative to gym. So students could choose to either go do gym, weightlifting, or Taekwondo. And I said, well, I'm going to go do Taekwondo. And I did that for about 2 years in high school. And then a friend of mine said, "Oh, you like martial arts?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Come try Kung Fu with me." So we started. He took me to his school, which was a school that practiced Northern Shaolin, specifically the Mizong Lohan style of Kung Fu. And so for about 5 years, I trained the Mizong Lohan Kung Fu as well as Wu style Tai Chi. And at that point, after about 5 years, I had to take a break from training to finish a degree. I got a bachelor's degree in history, and I had to take time off to make sure I could go and get my degree finished. Had some kind of family pressures going on there at the time. But after I finished, I said that I wanted to get back into training Kung Fu. Uh, I didn't know exactly where I wanted to go from there. I thought about going back to Mahjong, but another friend of mine said, "Have you tried Wing Chun before?" And I said, "No," so I'll give it a try. And long story short, I met my Sifu Ng, and he showed me the Hokaming method of Wing Chun, and it was mind blowing. I fell in love with it, and I've done nothing but eat, sleep, train Wing Chuns for coming up almost on 10 years now. Sure.
Sifu, what is Wing Chun Kung Fu?
So, Wing Chun is a southern style of Chinese martial arts, akin to other Hakka-based kung fu styles like Bak Mei, Honggar, Chole Foot. It specializes in close range fighting with an emphasis on soft or relaxed, they say feminine or the female aspects of martial arts. So, for instance, we're not aggressive, muscular, we are soft and we divert, then strike. Control the center line, control the uh, force, redirect force, um, close quarters fighting. So it is developed basically through three empty hand forms and then the wooden dummy, as well as exercises like Chi Sao, the sticking hands, to get used to not having to see or predict what your opponent's going to do, but instead feeling what your opponent's going to do. Because when you're fighting that close, you can't see what your opponent's going to do. You just have to feel it so that you can redirect their energy and then take the center line and strike them, get them down quickly.
Okay. So the second part of the question, though, right?
Mhm.
Is it practical for fighting?
Yes. So like all traditional arts, any traditional art that has withstood the test of time has withstood the test of time because it has practicality to it and it's useful. Now, in modern days, we are more civilized than maybe we used to be. So we don't have things like the Baymo anymore with the street fighting and all that. In some places we do, but not so much. And that maybe I think in modern times has led to a bigger issue that we see in traditional martial arts now, where somebody will get into a fight who's a traditional martial artist and they don't do so well. But that is because I think, we have people who train sport fighting and people who train martial arts for wellness and health maybe not so much sport, but maybe more on the self-defense end. And there's two or three very different dichotomies at play. Wing Chun itself was designed to be a quick resolution fighting system. It is very practical in that sense. And when you work with somebody who knows how to use it, who really knows how to apply it, they can handle their opponents quickly and efficiently. Get in, get out, get the job done.
All right, all right. So it definitely is practical for fighting. All right,
Absolutely.
all right, all right.
And we're
So
actually
I
starting to
guess.
see it more. We're starting to see it more now. More and more, um, some of these principles and ideas, especially controlling, low elbow striking, controlling the opponent, controlling the center line. These things are starting to make their way more and more into things like UFC and one fighting and all that. So there's kind of a small resurgence of these principles and ideas in Wing Chun that are, professional athletes and fighters are going, oh, wait a minute, I think they were onto something there. Let's take a look at it more. So that's always nice to see, especially when you watch professional fighting.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, there's something that you said about Wing Chun a little bit earlier. Um, you had mentioned about Wing Chun having a Hakka influence, right?
Mhm.
So is Wing Chun Hakka or is it Cantonese with a Hakka influence, as you said?
I think the way you worded it there is the best. It's Cantonese with a Hakka influence. So, for instance, it has some of the Fujianese white crane. It also has some of the some of the top researchers believe that there's some of the Hermes snake in there as well. That kind of are its roots and ideas. Like many of the Southern arts, its creation myth revolves around the abbess Ngmoy or Wu Mei for those who speak Mandarin. Um, and she's, supposedly the mother of several styles of Southern Kung Fu, um, many of which are Hakka Cantonese based martial arts. Um, but it is in there. It's in that region. There are definitely elements of Hakka art in it. Kind of key factors that you see in things like Bakmei and them. You have the yin and yang striking, the back and forth, things like that. Short strike, low elbow, these kind of Hakka elements and southern fighting methodology elements are all kind of in there together. But
Okay.
I think the way you worded that, where it's not, I wouldn't say it's pure Hakka. It's most certainly not, but it is from the southern region, and its elements are definitely built up of all of that.
You are teaching me so much right now because I've heard certain things from other people, and but the thing about it is they're not pure Wing Chun guys. So I'd rather ask a pure Wing Chun Sifu like yourself. So thank you very much for that. Which also
Absolutely.
leads me to another question about your Wing Chun, sir.
Mhm.
You say you come from the whole Kam Ming
Mhm.
branch of Wing Chun. And earlier, before doing the interview, we had spoken a little bit, and you had said that Ho Kam Ming actually was a student of Yip
Ren,
Man. So that's the same branch that Bruce Lee
that
comes
is
from.
correct.
Right?
Yep.
So what's the difference between Ho Kam Ming and Yip Man's branches of Wing Chun, if you don't mind me asking?
There's not really a difference between Hokaming and Yip Man. Yip Man was his Sifu. Yip Man taught Hokaming Wing Chun. Hokaming went to Macau and started teaching Wing Chun in Macau, China, right next to Hong Kong. And my teacher that's where he learned in Macau with Grandmaster Hokaming, and then moved to America and taught me. Um, the interesting thing is people say, what is the difference, for instance, in the Wing Chun system, especially from the Yip Man line? We all say we're part of the Yip Man line. But oftentimes we'll specify specifically, I'm Hokam Ming. Some people say I'm Wang Sheng Lung. Some will say I'm Lung Ting. These are all people who trained and learned from Yip Man. And within our each individual sub branches have maybe a little bit of difference here and there, but at the end of the day, we're all Yip Man Wing Chun. We're all Hong Kong, Macau Wing Chun. Um, you look at any one or two of us together, you might spot a few differences here and there, but at the end of the day, it's pretty much very similar.
Thank you for clearing that up. That's great. Just as you say, it's very true. I see Liang Ting Wing Chun. I see Wang Shan Liang Wing Chun, and and then I see classical, authentic, and all of these different labels of Wing Chun. I'm like, what's the difference, really? And I'm glad you just cleared it up for me. So let's move on to another question for you, right there, sir. Sifu, right? Now this one is a little bit more subjective,
Sure.
right? Because I want to get into your mind, right? So I want to get what you think is the hardest part of developing one's kung fu.
Mm. That's a great question. And in my experience and from what I've seen, it's tenacity. The tenacity to show up, the tenacity to train, the tenacity to do the reps, to put in the work. So for instance, a great example, when you started learning Kung Fu, how many of your brothers and sisters that trained with you then are still training now? How many of them fell to the wayside and how long did it take? You know, the tenacity to show up and just do the training is the hardest part because I've seen people come and go and it's only a small handful that stay and you have to stay and you have to do the work because that's what Kung Fu is. It is achievement through time and effort. Um and it is bitter work. There are fun times, but behind those fun times are a lot of hours of repetition and hitting the wall bag and working the dummy and chi sao and sparring and practicing your forms and over and over. And it's like any athletic endeavor. And that's what martial arts are, no matter what the art is. It's a type of athletic endeavor, and it takes dedication and tenacity to excel at them and to do them and to reap the benefits of what they have to offer. So I would say at the end of the day, it's the tenacity to show up that is the hardest part.
And I cannot refute that in any way at all. That is a perfect answer. Thank you very much for that, Sifu Mowry. Okay, so
Absolutely.
now we're going on to another one, right?
Hmm.
And of course, this is something that is definitely personal to you because you are a academic advisor at the university. So now I have to ask you, has there been an influence, has there been a benefit of your kung fu training to your profession? Or even has there been a benefit to your kung fu training from your profession? Right. So
Okay. That's a great question. It's also very interesting. As far as my training to my profession, I would say absolutely. I'm in right now, being an advisor at a university this time of year is tough because we're in peak registration. Students are trying to register for the next semester. They're panicking because they're not sure they're going to get the classes they need and things like that. So, my training has taught me how to handle pressure. What's it like to be under pressure? How to handle pressure? How to problem solve under pressure? How to find solutions? Um, how to guide people? I talked earlier about Wing Chun. What we do is we take our opponent's force as it's coming in and we redirect it. Oftentimes think of that not as a physical thing, but as a psychological or verbal thing. How to take an oncoming issue from a student and how to direct that, how to maneuver it, how to get it to a place where you can solve it and end it and get them what they need so that they can move on. And a big piece of that, again, like I mentioned earlier, is having the ability to be under pressure. Seeing, 8, 9, 10, 11 students in a day with each coming at me with a different thing, different issue. Okay, let's do this. Let's problem solve. And then to have my emails keep going off, ping, ping, ping. Okay, how am I going to manage my emails? Okay, I have an appointment here, managing. But having the training and the discipline from martial arts training to center myself, take that breath, calm, relax, sync my energy. When I can do that, when I can calm myself, sync my energy, I find that that helps bring any pressures coming externally down. And I've been able to help students who maybe have come to me at high energy, high pressure, high stakes, calm them down and help offer them a path forward for them to complete their degree, move on, find the next step of what they need to do.
awesome, awesome. And there's a lot of truth um, to that ability to be able to say, okay, when you get to that point where you can't take anymore, and then your ability to say, you know what, let's just stop for a second, take a breath, relax, literally for only 1 second, and then carry on with all of that multitasking, as you say, right? To deal with the students and deal with your emails and
Yep.
deal with classes all at the same time. I
Yep.
understand. I
And
understand. That's
and
great.
um and a lot of Wing Chun practitioners out there will know one of my exercises that I like to do when I'm feeling really pressured and really just shaken and worn out, I'll go for a walk, and we have like a nice lake area behind where my campus where I work, and I'll go and I'll practice the first form, the Sunam Tao, the little ideas form. It's the basic foundational form. All the basic principles and ideas of Wing Chun are found in this one form. And the one section of the first section of the Sambai Foot, the three hands to Buddha section, you just sync your energy, control your elbow, bring your hand out, make the prayer hand, control it, relax it, bring it back in. Then you only focus on your elbow, controlling the elbow. Just everything else, you get rid of everything else in your mind. You just breathe and you focus on this one task, this one thing, controlling the elbow forwards, controlling the elbow backwards. And it's a complete reset of the mind, the body, everything, refreshes your energy, and you just go back to what you're doing, refreshed, renewed. It's such a great part of the Wing Chun system, specifically that form. It's a real boon to me, especially when I'm under pressure to reset myself. My teacher always said, if you're feeling out of sync, if you're feeling out of whack, practice the Sun Tao. It'll reset you. You'll be fine.
Interesting. That's interesting. So, okay, with that description, right? Something just popped in. Another question just popped into my mind, right? Wing Chun. Um, if I was to look it up on Wikipedia right now, right,
Okay.
and I was to say, is Wing Chun a an external or an internal martial art, right? From the way how you just described it, it would sound very much like an internal martial art, but is it classified as such?
That's the great debate. Is it an internal or an external art? Some people believe it's an internal art. Some people believe it's an external art. People, a lot of times people classify it as internal because it is soft. It's a soft style, tends to use more internal principles. Some would still say it's an external. Um, in my opinion, all arts are a mixture of internal and external. There's a yin and yang to everything. The core principles of Wing Chun, I would say, are internal, but there are external elements to it. Again, there has to be. It's a martial art. The internal has to become external, and the external has to become internal again. Um, it just happens to share a lot of similarities to other internal, what we call internal arts, such as Tai Chi and Bakwa, other styles like that. But I would say, it's a good blend of both, leaning more towards the internal side.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. You know what? That was a great answer, and that was an off the cuff kind of question. I do apologize for that, but I
Oh
do
no,
thank you for that gold that you just gave me, sir. That was absolutely awesome. So let's continue with our questions, and we go into our fifth one. If
sure.
you could teach the new generation of martial artists only one thing, whether it be philosophy or technique, what would it be?
It'd be a philosophy that can lead to technique, and that is to learn to be okay with being uncomfortable. So much of what I see now, especially being a professional who deals with young people, um, being a martial artist, being just a person in the world, we there's been this weird kind of movement of people who are not okay with the uncomfortableness that is our lives. There are a lot of not great things going on in the world. We see it every day. Um, and if you're not okay with being uncomfortable, whether that's in a sparring situation or a thought situation of being able to deal with thoughts and uncomfortable situations in your mind, it's going to cause a lot more anxiety and pressure on you. But if you can learn to sit with being uncomfortable about something so that you can think about it, digest it wholly, fully. So, and again, it's the idea of, life is a, to quote Buddha, life is suffering. That is to say, life is to live, and to live fully is to also endure the hard times, the not easy times. And we have to do that. That's just part of being alive. Just like it's, the training in kung fu, the conditioning, the time, the sweat, the tears, the blood, the jammed and broken bones, all this stuff we endure for our training. It's the uncomfortable part. But there is a sweetness to the bitterness on the other side. And when I see people who don't know how to handle uncomfortability, they suffer more because they don't know how to sit with it and experience it and think through it and come to the other side of it. So I would say, if you can do that, if you can learn to do that, if you can learn to endure and to deal with uncomfortable situations, you'll learn how to handle uncomfortable situations better and better. Just like when you're a beginning student and you're learning how to spar, it's very hard because you have very skilled people coming at you, but the more you endure, the better you become, as a fighter. Same as in life. The more you get used to working through an uncomfortable situation, thinking about it, formulating actual thoughts on it, you come out and you problem solve and you can offer better solutions at the other end. And, as a society, that's the only way we're going to, what people say, well, what's the next phase of human evolution? I would say that it's somewhere in there. If there is such a thing, it'll be in our ability to work through the problems we're facing now as a world to come to those better solutions. So start small with your own uncomfortabilities and start working towards a better. And it becomes a skill that can become so much more useful. And come train Kung Fu. Why not?
That's great. That's a great answer, Sifu Topher. Seriously, seriously. And when you answered it just like that, two things come to mind. Two things. Eating bitter.
Yep.
Right. So just
Yep.
get used to eating bitter, right? Because if
Yep.
you are eating bitter all the time, the sweetness is just that much nicer.
It's better.
That much better. Even
Yep.
though the sweetness comes less frequently, right? It's when it comes, it's that much better, right? So that's
Yep.
one way of looking at it. So the second thing comes to mind, the saying, diamonds are made under pressure.
Yep.
Right. So we only grow when we are under pressure because another saying that they say that comfort is the place that dreams go to die. Right.
Yep.
So, you have
Yep.
to, again, as how they all come into play, you have to eat the bitter because
Yep.
you need you need to eat it in order to get the
Yep.
sweetness and get the
Yep.
get the most out of that sweetness. So
And
what
you,
you say resonates with me.
it's funny. I'm an avid. I love martial arts media, TV shows, all that stuff. I eat that stuff up. But I just watched one on Netflix. And there was a saying in it that skills easily learned are skills easily beaten. And that only true skill comes from hard work. And I had to think about that. I was like, yeah,
I like it.
I do.
This is such an enjoyable conversation. Let's continue, right?
Uh,
How can you be contacted, Sifu Topher?
just find me on the Instagram. That other Wing Chun guy. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook under my name, just Topher Mowry. You can find me there. You can find me on Facebook. And then again, Instagram, that other Wing Chun guy.
Information for Sifu Topher Mowry will be in the description down below. Also in the description down below will be a link for FeiYue shoes. If you need FeiYue shoes, go ahead and click that link down below for the best prices, the best deals, all at FeiYue shoes. Sifu Topher Mowry, thank you very much for
Thank
being
you.
my guest today, sir. I have learned a whole lot from you, and I do hope to learn more from you later as well. All
Perfect.
right.
I love it. I love it. Let's do it
Thank you
again.
very much for your time. And I do
Thank
have to
you.
say, I love your background.
Oh,
Anime.
thank you. No, no, these
Which one? Which one is that
so
one?
this is Prodigal Son and this
Prodigal
is
Son. Okay.
Warriors 2. These are the two best Wing Chun movies ever made.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. I think I'm going to go check them out right now. Thank you very much, Sifu Mowry.
Thank you. Have a
All
wonderful
right.
evening.
Go ahead.